So, how are we doing at the door? Is there still a queue? Are people still filtering in? I'm still waiting for the rest of the guests to filter in. You're all here on time, so you guys get the easy questions.
Oh, yeah? There are questions?
There will be questions.
Mitch is probably at the bar. No, Mitch.
Oh, really? Mitchell? This is your mother.
Tell you what, who's on Twitter? Anyone on Twitter? Raise your hands. Okay. Who has a device with them that can access Twitter? If you could get out your devices and tweet at Mitch Larson, come to main panels. All at the same time. Let's completely inundate his mentions feed, shall we? Come to main panel, you lush. I like that. Thank you. Thank you, Snowflake.
It's a mystery.
This is one of those secrets we should have covered during the So This Is Your First Pony Convention thing. If you want to find Mitch Larson and he's at a PonyCon, check the hotel bar. And buy his book. I think it's called Penny Royal Bar. Oh, Academy, sorry. Yeah, lovely,
Okay,
thank you.
I'm going to do a vocal twit to Mitchell.
Lovely, lovely.
Mitchell, this is your mother. We're all waiting. Come to the panel immediately. What's his address again?
It's at M_A_Larson.
Is it capitals?
Yeah, but it shouldn't matter.
Okay. This is very difficult for those of us with granny eyes. Am I doing it or am I?
What do you It's a rainbow and Iron main panel. She's being more famous than that.
Hi, Buttons. I'm awesome. How's everybody else? Doing good. Hi. Little tiny person. Thank you, Sugar Booger.
No worries.
Send. All right, everybody retweet this thing.
Well, who else? We have other guests as well. Britt should be here, and Heather should be here. Who else should be here?
Haber.
Yes, we have some Dead Like Me fans in the audience, clearly. So you must come to the VA panel later on this evening, and we will hopefully be talking about that a little bit. Yes.
Is she coming? Is Britt coming?
I believe so.
Awesome. Toilet seat girl indeed.
More people filtering in. Okay, while people are filtering in, and welcome, I will explain how the cards work. Very shortly, when people have been seated, you will be handed a note card, and you'll be handed a golf pencil, which I don't have one of, so just imagine I'm holding a golf pencil.
It's because of the sight lines.
With this, you will... Oh, thank you. I love it. I just say, like, imagine I'm holding something, and people put something into my... Okay, imagine I'm holding an In-N-Out burger. Someone will be here to put it into my hand. Oh, all right. What you will do is take your golf pencil and take your index card, and with the golf pencil, you will press it very firmly against the note card. And if you move the instrument up and down, the graphite will actually come off and form little signs that make letters, that make words. And no, okay. If you have a question for our wonderful guests, you write the question on the index card. Volunteers will come around and pick them up. They will bring them up to me. I will be shuffling them like mad, and the guests will be talking and answering your questions. Please keep them appropriate, and remember that they cannot talk about seasons 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, however many we hope that there will be. And if it's a small child asking the question, if whoever is writing the question down could indicate that, so we make sure that they get priority for their questions, since they're the reason we're here, really. We're guests in a property that belongs to them. If you could, yes. Yes, please. Just wave them in the air when you're done, and these lovely people will come and pick them up. Please, yes. Okay.
While we're waiting for the other guests, we are waiting for the other guests.
Yes.
Right? So while we're waiting for the other guests, when I go to autograph panels later, I'm going to not take photographs so that we don't interrupt the line. I hope that's okay. So I'm going to come down and sit here for a second. And if you want to come and sit next to me and have someone take your picture with me while we're waiting, then you can do that now. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Form an orderly mob.
Orderly. Children first.
Yes, children first, please. And I will get out from behind you so I don't photobomb you. So, folks passing out the index cards, you can probably hold off until we've finished with this and everyone's filtered in, and then we'll distribute them. Since we're still waiting on people like Mitch, Larson. Did he not get all of our tweets? Is he still in the bar?
Come, my loves. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the rest of our guests have arrived. And Mr. Bob Carr, the co-chair of the convention, will be introducing them momentarily. So if you could all take your seats, please. And if we're very nice to Tabitha, perhaps she'll be kind enough to let us do photos after the, or before the VA panel later on tonight. We'll see.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you, everybody.
And if the individuals, if our wonderful volunteers who are passing out index cards could please continue doing so. And for those who have just joined us and don't understand the index cards, it's very, very straightforward. If you have a question for any of our wonderful guests, all you need do is take the golf pencil, write down your question on the index card, and wave it in the air. One of the volunteers will come round and collect the index card, bring them up to me. I'll be shuffling them round, and we will eventually get to ask it. Very straightforward. And now, ladies and gentlemen, co-chair of Nightmare Nights Dallas, Mr. Bob Carr.
That was kind of a lukewarm response. I suppose everyone's confused by my young Fidel look. Need some aviators and an olive drab hat. I can take over Cuba. All right. So, for those of you who missed opening ceremonies, are only used to laughing at their work and don't know the faces behind it, we have, occupied with his phone on the far end of the table, Mr. Josh Haber.
Hello.
Would you please remind the audience which episodes you wrote in season 4?
Sure. There was the one with the castle.
Yeah, something about a castle, right?
There's the one with Rarity and Trenderhoof.
Right, something like that.
And then the one with Granny Smith and the Flim Flammers.
That's all right.
Those three.
Yes. It's been so long.
You have no idea.
All right. Another author. We have Natasha Levinger.
Hello.
Oh, I'm putting you through
want
the
me
same
to-
routine.
Okay. Pinky apple pie and the breezies. Thank you.
This is starting to feel like the author's gong show. It's great. And as our time for our panel is limited, I will not make her list every episode she's written. Amy Keating Rogers.
Hello, everybody.
That's not all of them. So what should I say? What should I talk about then? Oh, is my book for sale?
We-
Oh, it is? Yay! My book's for sale. Yay! Journal of the Two Sisters. Buy it. That's what I'm gonna
Yes.
say.
Excellent. I'm so sorry I saved all my shilling for Mitch and our next guest.
Yeah, I see how it works.
I do apologize profusely.
Buy Amy's book.
Thank you. Now, what percentage do you get for that? That's how it works. That's marketing. Next up, author of a wonderful series involving the main six, and more recently Daring Do,
Hi, everyone.
G.M. Berrow. Elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist. Thank you. Next up, an IDW comic writer. She wrote the Nightmare Rarity arc. Heather Nuhfer. Buy her books.
My comic books.
I sense a theme. Have you published anything yet, Dusty?
Actually, I had comic work in 1995. That's true.
Buy his remaindered book.
Look for it in the corner boxes. It's there.
Can I have to ask? Believe it or not, while it does sit well on that head, that's Foldpaper's new Stetson. So how did you get that from him?
He traded me for it.
Yes, I traded it for it.
Yeah.
Stetson back.
Ooh. Wow.
Pass it down. Pass it down.
That's not cruel. It's candid.
I think it looks better on me.
All right. Thanks, Doctor. We have the world's manliest brony.
The world's manliest rainbow dash lover.
I'm playing for second. DustyKatt. And if you don't already listen to Stay Brony, my friends, you should.
Yes. Yes, look for Stay Burning My Friends on YouTube. You'll find 88 episodes, hour and a half, where I interview most of these people up here, except for one person who I'm looking at the end of the table. Yeah, family,
Lovingly.
Did you interview
Is-
me
is-
ever?
No, you guys.
Is now really the time?
Well,
I don't count. I don't count.
They're one person.
A pause while we arrange a schedule. To Dusty's left, you guys have all seen her work online. She sews incredible custom plushes. We have from White Dove Creations, Ms. Sherry Bourlon. You like the from White Dove Creations, like you're the head of a vast plush empire? Right. Next at the table, we have, I can't even list all the voices you do. You are the Hank Azaria of My Little Pony, right? Every third pony. The lovely, the talented Tabitha St. Germain. That was a lot funnier in my head. Last, and if you believe Foldpaper's least. Oh wait, I have to introduce him too. Oh, never mind. So last and next to least, we have author and now lead story editor for the first half of season 5, Mitch M.A. Larson.
Howdy.
You guys hear that? Everybody hear that?
Should have gotten a sound clip from the trade. No, that really is Shatner. And at my right, and wondering when I'm going to hand him his microphone back.
No, keep it. We're still waiting on questions.
Moderator for life, raconteur, tweet wearer. You know him on Twitter as Fold Papers.
No, they don't.
Oh, I guess they don't.
I do.
That's at Fold Papers. You can, in fact, get a graduate degree from a prestigious English university by analyzing classical reception in My Little Pony. It's a fact.
My parents are so proud, you have no idea.
You know what? I think for the rest of this con, we call him Foley Ewing.
Foley Ewing?
Foley Ewing,
nice. Dusty's old enough, I'm old enough, the rest of you are going, what? There was a show called Dallas back in the day. For those of you who are younger and have never seen it, don't bother. For the record, when he gets shot, it's all a dream.
Hey, Bob. Hey, Bob.
That's Bobby.
Yo, Bob. Somebody just showed up down there.
I know.
Okay, just making sure.
How long do you think I've been stalling? I've been looking.
At least 30 seconds.
And fresh from the International House of Pancakes, the voice of Princess Cadence, Britt McKillip.
So, are those questions being collected? While they're being collected and brought up, I would like to start the panel by asking everyone, an oldie but a goodie, how did you first become involved with My Little Pony? And we'll start all the way at the end with Britt, if we may.
Hello. Can you hear me? I'll try to speak louder. Well, I became involved with My Little Pony just the old-fashioned way. I auditioned for the part a few years back, and they liked my voice, and then I was lucky enough to actually get to sing as well. So that was a great honor for me. So yeah, I've been involved for a few years now.
Did you know that Britt McKillip's mom calls her Stinkerbell?
Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. She's been calling me that since I was a baby. I'm curious to know how you know that, Tabitha.
I met her at the airport. It was a total coinky-dinky.
That's right. She told me that she ran into you at the airport. So. Sorry, interrupted.
I don't have an adorable nickname. Sorry. I became involved in the show by appealing to a friend of mine who worked at Hasbro, and he passed a sample of work of mine on to Megan, and she read it and met with me, and we hit it off. And she gave me a shot at writing an episode, and that was Castlemania, and then it was well received, and so I got more.
I guess it's not that similar. I met Megan and I submitted my stuff to her and she liked it. I met Megan. Josh finds this interesting. I don't think it is, but I'll tell you anyway. Our kids went to preschool together. Interesting, right? Oh, okay. It's cute. It's cute. I don't know if it's interesting, but it's cute. And and then she eventually got the story editing job there, and she liked my stuff and gave me the job. Thank you.
I worked with Lauren Faust on the Powerpuff Girls. where she was a storyboard artist and I was the head writer of the show. And we became friends, and then we worked on Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends together, where we were both writers. And at the wrap party for Foster's, which is the final party when you're done with the show, she said, hey, I'm pitching this new version of My Little Pony to Hasbro, and if I get a green light, I would love for you to write for the show. And I said, yeah. And so when it got a green light, she called me up, and me and Lauren, she'd already had the idea for the pilot, but even though you have an idea for something, you want to get people together to break the story, kind of figure out all the details. So she called me and this guy named Paul Rudish, who, if you look him up, he's really, really awesome. So me and Paul Rudish and Lauren got together and we broke the story for the pilot of the show. So that's how I got involved.
Well, I submitted my fan fiction. No, I'm kidding. I had been working on a couple series ghostwriting, young adult and kids books, and my editor from a series that I did called me up one day and said, we just signed a big deal to do a bunch of pony books, and I wanted to know if you were interested. And I said yes, and that's
My microphone cord's really short. Oh, strength and power.
Is manly.
I had been told I needed to watch the show by numerous friends in the comic book industry. And so I did, and instantly I was like, why is this not a comic book? This would be a freaking awesome comic book. So I went through my imaginary Rolodex and just started emailing every editor I knew, like, hey, if you get the license for this, I am writing it. There's nothing else you can do. And eventually it worked. They brought me on, so I asked a lot, and it worked.
Hi, guys. I was introduced to the series in fall of 2010 by some friends of mine when I was in a very deep depression. And it basically pulled me back out. And I was sort of living alone, living in a different state, at a job I hated. And the show basically told me that it's my own decisions on what I do. And my friends are there for me. And my friends were saying, come back, we'll find you something. And I did. I came back and lived on a couch for about a month before I found a good job, and it all worked out. And that's basically how I started in the fandom, was my friends got me back into it. And I've always been an animation fan from Wide World of Disney in the 70s all the way back to Japanese animation in 1972. So it just being an animation fan and a comic book geek and all that, it just spoke to me in ways that you couldn't believe. And that's why I'm do what I do to this day. So, thanks.
Well, I got involved in it through my son about toward the end of season 1, and I knew nothing about it. Only thing I knew about was My Little Pony of the 90s, and something I wasn't too crazy about. So I kind of got don't hit me. I prefer the one today. But anyway, I kind of got involved in that, and when I found out my son was a brony, he, of course, his first thing he knew I sewed, and he asked for a plushie, which I had no idea how to make. And so before I would even attempt that, I told him I needed to find out more about the show. So he sent me all of season 1 episodes, which I marathoned, and just fell in love with them. They were great. And my panel is after this, and I'll go further into that about how I got started in this. So anyway, that's how I got started, was through my son.
I got involved with this show. I was in Outer Mongolia testing a new strain of yam. And I was captured by a warlord named Bing. And it was a sad occasion until we used to amuse ourselves by making puppets out of stones and sticks. And an executive from Hasbro happened to be flying by that day and saw our little puppet show, and I've become the mega star you see before you now.
It's really weird because that's exactly how I got involved in it. Identical story. That's so weird. Those Hasbro executives love Mongolia.
I know they do. It's weird.
My real story is really boring, so let's just go with that.
Make something up. You're a writer.
Lauren modeled the character of Fluttershy off me. That's how I got involved.
We have a great question here from a child. Who is your favorite pony and why? I like that question. And we'll start with Mitch because he didn't give a good answer to the last question.
I'm not saying this because she's right here, but Rarity is my favorite to write for. Why?
And why?
She gets the best lines. I mean, it's just the nature of the character.
Oh, stop. You have an hour and a half to just quit. My favorite character is Trixie. Today.
Well, I love Luna. I love to make Luna, but Rarity's my favorite. Love her generosity.
Everybody knows I have Rainbow Dash tattooed to my arm, but my favorite pony is Cheerilee because we dated in high school.
I feel like I want to hear that story. Rarity is my favorite because she's fun to write. And then some days it's Applejack, depending on my day.
My favorite is Pinkie Pie because she's just really silly and she can do almost anything. So I think that's really fun to write. Is you can make her just like pull any prop out of thin air, and I think that's really funny. And she's just silly, and she loves parties. Woo!
I always say Pinkie Pie because she's funny.
Here.
And well, if you read the journal, the friendship part of the journal, there's half. Anyhow. I'm not doing a good job with this answer. Applejack. And you'll find out why in season 5.
Teaser.
What?
This is like when my son asked me the other day which of the cats was my favorite. I did not answer that question. I said I love them all equally, and he pressed me on it, and that's how I feel in my heart. So I don't see why I should have to pick one. And if I didn't for him, I'm not gonna for you guys. I love them all.
That's funny because it's similar to when my daughter asked me whether I love her or her brother more. It's a very similar situation, and I have to tell her that I love her brother more. And it's awkward for a moment, but she gets it. I mean, I feel like she understands. Actually, my favorite character to write for is DJ Pone 3 because she doesn't talk. That's really the easiest one. After that, it's Rarity because she is also the easiest to write for. It's just something about that voice that's really specific and easy to do.
He has said that before, so he's the only one who's not saying that just because Tabitha's here.
Mitch always says that
I've
too.
gone on record.
Yeah, Mitch too.
But I also do like Trixie too because Tabitha's here.
My favorite, absolutely Pinkie Pie. I love the energy in her voice. Can't beat it.
Oh, and we are done. That will teach me to pay attention. I swear I was, but I was also selecting some good questions next. This one is for Tabitha. It's a slight variation on the last question, actually. Who is your favorite pony that you voice?
That I voiced. Well, now, it's very hard to say. I don't want to get into the Sophie's choice of the whole thing, but now, sometimes people neglect their elders. And that's all I'm going to say. What, my chopped liver? Best pony. Granny Smith!
We've got a follow-up question there. What is your favorite thing to say as Granny Smith? So those two went perfectly together. Thank you to the two kids who submitted these.
My favorite thing to say is Granny Smith?
Yes.
All the things that she gets to say interstitially, as it were. And I like to say lines that are given to me because they're good. And I'm in no way pandering to the people with the imaginary power over the fate of my own character.
It's weird because that is the correct answer to the question.
This isn't so much a question, this is an instruction for Britt. Not from me, so I apologize if you don't feel like taking an order, but apparently you have an adorable nickname, Stinkerbell. So I task you with giving your fellow panelists nicknames.
Oh my gosh.
Whose was that? Own up to that. Whose question was that? Right there, okay.
You're good.
So I'm to give out nicknames to everyone?
Apparently so, yes. If you feel so inclined.
Oh my gosh.
You can take your time. We can do this at the end. We can come back to you.
Let me think on that a little
Okay.
bit. Let me think on that.
Fair enough.
Gotta give that some thought.
Question for Mitch, and I think this is actually an excellent question. Mitch, have you bought a copy of your book? If not, why should we?
That's the best question I've ever heard.
Am I supposed to answer that? Yes. I have. I've bought many copies, and it's funny because the more you buy, the better it gets. I'm just saying. Take my word for it. The more you buy, the better it gets.
Christmas is coming. Bye.
For Mitch, where can I buy your book? That's not really what it says. There's going to be a bookseller here today selling my book and Jillian's book and Amy's book. So if you have any money left after you buy mine, you can buy theirs.
Buy his first. Isn't that nice?
Yes. However many you want.
Then you get a free one of theirs.
I'll buy you one.
Then have us.
That was evil.
I've got an interesting question here for Josh Haber. In the episode you wrote, Castlemania, that was yours, yes.
What?
There you are, okay.
I was helping with the nicknames.
In the episode you wrote, Castlemania, star spiders are mentioned a few times, but they never do anything. We never see them. Was there a plan to include those? What did they do? So we want some backstory on the star spiders, if possible.
Sure. I feel like there are some in the background there at some point. Maybe I feel like they're pictured. Honestly, I had no idea what it was. I just pulled a word that I recognized. But I did I searched on the wiki because I needed an animal that was in the forest, and that one came up.
Fair enough.
So no plan.
The star spider the bearded. Yes, when can we expect star spider the bearded? Okay, ooh, lots and lots of questions here. And insults for Mitch.
That'd be a really good panel.
I'll just bask in the Tabitha love. I'll look at the reflected love.
I don't understand this question. It's just the word banana with a question mark.
Yeah.
That's for everyone on the panel, apparently. Banana?
Do you
Like bananas?
To the moon! Okay. Here's one for Dusty. Hold on. Dusty, if you shave your manly moustache, will you still be the manliest brony?
I have said this before at other panels. My mustache is but an accessory to a manly life.
No?
It doesn't matter what you look like on the outside. It matters what you do with your life.
He also can't shave it. He's tried to shave it and it won't be shaved.
You know what? I have a titanium chainsaw at home. It won't even nick it.
This is a question for Mitch from Jada, 12 years old. Hey. How fast does Rainbow Dash fly to do the Sonic Rainboom? That was your episode, so you have to have the answer there. Do you want some help? Well, breaking the sound barrier is what, 763 miles per hour? Someone in here must be an aviation buff. My one? But I still want him to give a good answer. Come on. No pressure. Da, 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 da.
She flies magic miles per hour.
The answer is in the book.
Good save. This is to anyone from another kid in the audience. I'm not sure who among you will be able to answer it, but points to whoever can. Do ponies have cutie marks on one side or on both sides? Because we... Have we established this? Because some merch doesn't have it on both sides.
It's both.
Both?
I've done extensive research. It's both.
It's both, okay. From the mouth of Josh Haber himself, both sides. I like this. This is for all the panelists, so we'll start with Mitch. No, we'll end with Mitch. Let's start with Britt. In the spirit of Nightmare Nights, what is the spookiest experience you've had?
The spookiest experience I've had in my life?
In your life, in relation to the fandom, however you want to answer it.
Oh my gosh, these are all so tough. Spookiest experience. Oh, I have a good one. It's just, it relates to Nashville, so I'm sorry. But I was staying at a really old house in Nashville once, and I have a friend over here who can back me up on this. We had spirits living with us, and there were some TVs turning on and off, and some shadows moving about and whispering, things like that. And I've never had that happen to me in my life, so it scared me a lot. So that was probably the spookiest.
Fair enough.
Oh, are we all answering this?
You're all answering this.
Oh, I totally would have been thinking of something while she was talking. If
Make something up. You're a writer.
Yeah, but I don't have my computer in front of me. I don't have time to sit and think about it, and ruminate. Something spooky in relation to the fandom. There was this interview. No. Something spooky. Gosh. Yeah, the only thing I can think of is in college there was I sort of ran the light board occasionally and would do directing stuff, and I was there late at night. And actually, no, I was there during the day. It was daytime, but this is one of these black box theaters, and I had run a power cable out of the theater, and somehow I tripped a breaker, and it was just completely dark. It was just sort of the kind of dark where you kind of go into the, like, it literally was like a black hole. I took a step into the theater, and there was no light at all. It felt like it just kind of sucked out my ability to see. And I was so freaked out, I couldn't go into the theater. Like, I couldn't. I said, that's it for this weekend. See y'all on Monday. And I left. I don't know what it was. There was something about it was so dark and so terrifying that I just couldn't go in. So, not very exciting, but that's me. I'm afraid of the dark.
I think maybe I'm too much of a hippie to think anything spooky that might make other people feel spooked out. I would just be like, oh.
Like capitalism? Is that spooky?
Yes, it is.
Maybe I should go that way.
People not recycling.
Yeah. Ooh. That scares me. Yeah, I would just think it's confirmation that we're not alone in the universe. Why get spooked out? Also, I avoid haunted houses and any place that scares me. So, one time my cat didn't come back for a while, and that spooked me out.
Oh, well, that's just terrifying. I have losing my children stories, but that's not spooky.
Right. Well, I'm just trying to find something here to work with. All right.
I didn't actually lose my children. I just want to make that clear. I thought I did.
We're done.
Good night.
I'm sure I have spooky things. I'm just not thinking of them because this is a lot of pressure. But I was trying to go to spin class on my birthday. And there was a lizard on my dashboard. And that just scared me to pieces. And he lived in my car for a good week, and he kept scaring me. And it's not spooky, but it was really scary. And
we are the least interesting people to answer
that's
this.
that's my story of Dashboard Lizard.
To be fair, spin class is terrifying.
I was trying to think of something more spooky, more like ghosty. One time I was staying in an old house near the beach on the coast of Wales with my cousins. And my cousin Natalie, who was sleeping next to me, I thought she was having a nightmare, but she started screaming and pointing to the foot of the bed saying there was someone with chains there, but she wasn't asleep. She was just like seeing something, and I couldn't see it, so it really spooked me. I don't know what it was, but she swears that there was a man with chains standing at the foot of our bed.
See, I would call that proof we're not alone in the universe.
What did he want?
That's spooky.
I think we kind of want to be alone in the universe if there's scary people with chains. I have a kind of weird thing that happened when I was a tween. We were waiting for my dad to come home from work. And
He's a spin instructor.
He's a lizard.
For lizards. So my mom and I were in the back room. My brothers were downstairs. And when he would come home, he'd yell, and we'd all hitch up at the table for dinner. So we hear my dad call. He's like, "I'm home," which is what your dad says when he comes home. And so we all came from our opposite places into the dining room, and my dad was not home. We had all heard him. Yeah, and then he came home like half an hour later and was totally oblivious to anything happening. Still to this day, he didn't play a joke on us. So.
Most people know I'm from Michigan, right? So my family's all into deer hunting. We loved to deer hunt when I was a kid. And so we went out in the dead of January, in black powder season, and I got put in a blind by myself. And as the sun's going down, it just starts to snow. And there's 2 feet of snow on the ground. It just gets into dusk, and everything turns gray. And there isn't a sound in the forest, but snowflakes coming down. And you could hear your heartbeat, and you could see your breath. And you just look left and right, and there's not a sound in the forest, no birds, no rabbits, no nothing. And you're just sitting there going, what is about to come and get me? Because we've all seen this movie. Right? We've all seen this movie. It's like, yeah, something behind you. But yeah, it was spooky. Oh, crazy spooky.
Well, mine happened a couple of years ago, and it was on DA, and I had somebody noted me asking me to just give them a plush, which happens from time to time. And I noted them back, and I told them I don't just give them away, but I do take commissions, and accepted a raffle. So they noted me back, and they said, well, if you don't give me one, I know where you live, and I'm going to come get it. And I went, okay.
First, I just want to apologize.
That was spooky.
I'm really, really sorry. Your work is just so good.
Well, I just started a job on Friday at a new studio. And
Come on.
Thank you. Sincerely, thank you. And I opened the fridge, and they have a Brita water thing in there that is haunted and has been haunted by the ghost of its former filter for years. There's no filter in there, and yet you drink that water. And also, I see dead people.
I don't know if I can beat the lizard story. I was at a wedding once, and spookiest what it had a really sinister vibe. I can't really put my finger on why, but I couldn't see the front. It felt like a dream, and then the crowd parted, and it was Flash Sentry and Twilight. So spooky.
You're a
Too soon?
bad person. Bad man. This is for anyone who wants to take a shot at it, but I think the writers especially. Describe the entire series plot in exactly 6 words. Well, you've got friendship is actually, no, hold on. My Little Pony friendship is magic. There we go. There are your 6.
Yeah, friendship is magic. No, I'm serious.
This is a question for our VAs. It was a question for the VAs.
What is your question?
I don't know. Oh, here it is. As a voice actor, how do you find the voice for a character? How do you create that personality? It's kind of a large question, and we'll probably get into it a little bit more during the VA panel later tonight, which you should all attend, but...
Oh, is there another one? Oh, okay. Well, I'll make it brief. If it's a very high-pitched character, I squeeze my bum really hard. And your lower, more villainous characters, I think about Mitchell. And your sort of, I don't know, young, itty-bitty characters, I think about Bugs. And, but I think about Bugs often anyway. Over to you, Britt.
I was actually going to say Tabitha would be the one to answer this question. She's so talented. She has so many different characters and personalities and voices, and I just have a couple that I find that I tend to do well with the baby voices. I've always been a fan of the baby voices, and the princess voices. That's all I got. That's what I love to do. So I don't really go out for much else, but Tabitha probably goes out for a lot more than I do. Very talented.
Thank you. That was sorry about our answers. They're not. It's kind of a big question, but.
This is a follow-up for Britt. What part about the role of Cadence did you enjoy the most in voicing and bringing that character to life?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
What part about the role of Cadence did you enjoy the most?
The role of Cadence, I think, actually because I didn't really play very many princess roles before Cadence. So I think that was very special for me because I was very used to doing the baby, younger voices. And so that was special for me. And I think getting to sing was the cherry on top of it all. I don't get to do that very often in voice work. You'd think, but I don't. So that was really special for me. It was very much an honor to get to put my singing voice on the character. So I was very lucky.
Mitch got scared of you all and ran away. No, he'll be back. This is a question for everyone. At what point did you become aware of the unintended demographic fandom that had emerged over this, for this show, and what was your first reaction? So in other words, when did you first become aware of bronies, and what was your reaction? And we'll go in any order we like, instead of up and down the line. Whoever wants to take this, go ahead and take it. Or I'll pick on you. In fact, no, sorry, GM, we just made eye contact, so you get to answer that one first.
That's why I lean back. I was already working on my first book, the Twilight Sparkle book, and then I went into my publisher's office one day and to sort out something with a contract, and a friend of mine there was asking me about the bronies, and I was like, what? What are the bronies? And she was like, oh my gosh, you've already like gotten involved in this and you don't know about the bronies? She had this like really thick southern accent. She was like, girl, you don't know about the bronies. Yeah, it was like how she said it. And I was like, what? So we like stood at her computer and like Googled it, and I was just like, whoa, okay, that's cool. And then I went to BronyCon in New Jersey for one day, and I just sort of like stealthily like walked around and like observed and talked to people, and and I actually met Peter New backstage, and he was like really serious with me about it. He was like, oh wow, okay, you got a big task ahead of you, and you gotta like take this really seriously. And I was like, okay, all right. So that's when I found out.
Amy?
Oh, nuts.
Shouldn't make eye contact.
I know, I tried to look away really fast. I first found out about the bronies when I was writing the last roundup. Well, that's when I found out. I'm sorry. So I was writing the last roundup, and I was writing the infamous scene between Rainbow Dash and Derpy. And I'd written it, however, that wasn't her name to begin with. Her name was Ditsy Doo when I first wrote that scene. And then I got notes on the first draft, and Lauren said, hey, can you change Ditsy Doo's name to Derpy, because we have this fan base that's calling her Derpy. And I said, yeah, sure, I'm cool with changing her name. So her name became actually Derpy Doo in my script, because I didn't know any better. So if you were to look at my script, that's what it says. And what was my reaction? People ask me, oh, were you surprised that you had a male fan base? The answer is no, I was not, because I had worked on the Powerpuff Girls. And we had an adult male fan base on that show. And it was not ginormous like this, but the internet wasn't what it is now. But I had interaction with the fans, the male fans, on that show as well. So I wasn't stunned. I eventually became more stunned. Became stunned. But so that is when I first learned about the fandom.
We have a question here from Bob Carr. Or it might not be from Bob Carr, but Bob Carr would like me to ask it. And this is for the parents on the panel. Don't Twilight's parents have to be the smuggest ponies in Equestria? Oh, your cult made the honor roll. We'll have to tell our son, the prince, and our daughter, who ascended to alicornhood. He's got a point, but parents' responses?
And now they have Flash Sentry as a son-in-law. What could be better? The answer is yes.
That is really a yes or no question, isn't it? It's hard to sort of say no to that. They have a lot to be smug about.
But what about the parents of Celestia and Luna? That's a little bit better even.
Moving right along.
I stumped him.
Moving right along. For the writers and the VAs. Actually, no, I want this for... Okay, for the writers and VAs. Sorry, community guests. If you didn't work on TV, what would you want to do?
I would like to be a medical doctor with no training at all.
You mean Doogie Howser?
It hurts where? Like here? There? What's this? Cough. Nothing. That was all I had.
I'd want to be an X Games athlete. I'd want to surf and snowboard and I don't know. Yeah, play volleyball, play beach volleyball for the rest of my life. Somewhere sandy and warm, just sitting. That's what I want to do.
I would want to work with animals somewhere. I love animals. I don't want to say a zookeeper, but, you know, just something maybe like a rehabilitation center.
I think we just found our future business, Jillian, because that's what I would do too.
We're opening an animal rehabilitation center later.
Well, I was gonna say if it could be a made-up job, I would like to read animals' minds and be Dr. Doolittle.
I didn't know we could make stuff up.
Well,
Natasha's
okay,
a pet psychic.
Yeah, I kind of am already. So I'll be the pet psychic at your animal rehabilitation.
This is going to be amazing.
This is awesome.
And then Tabitha can be like the doctor.
Yeah.
Seems to me what you have here is a fur clump.
A fur clump.
Got your fur clump there. Yeah, you want to get razor blades and lather? And that ought to set you right on up.
I really want to be Tabitha's medical assistant. This sounds really fun.
I could read the minds to know what was really happening, but I wouldn't want to stop that. So I just let it happen.
Do you know what? A quick story. I had a dog named Kitty, and she was very, very nervous. And at Halloween in Vancouver, they set off firecrackers.
Yeah.
Fireworks, and that's awful for dogs. And so someone set off a firework right in front of her, and she never went outside again. She'd shake and be nervous. So I actually called the pet psychic.
That's nothing to laugh at. You don't have to be ashamed of
no,
this.
I know, and it's your future career, and I'm not laughing at you. I never would.
Okay.
But so the pet psychic, but every day when I would walk her, I'd sing to her, everybody loves my dog, she feels great in this place, this and every other place, everyone that she meets thinks she's great, oh, everybody loves my dog. And I'd sing her positive affirmations. And the first thing that the psychic said to me was, stop singing to your dog. You're making her nervous because she thinks you're not paying attention to the outside, and it makes her have to be more alert. So if you want to help your dog, stop singing.
See, they know what's up. They're real.
See? Yeah, it's a valid occupation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask this question. Unless any other people want to chime in on that last? No? Hoping that I won't call on you? Is this school flashbacks?
No.
Okay, I'm going to ask this question and give you time to think about it. And yes, what lessons about friendship have you learned while working on the show? It's a very good question. And while they're considering it, we have some people who came in late. So could we go ahead and distribute those note cards again if people have follow-up questions or new questions? Where are my wonderful volunteers? Excellent. Round of applause for the volunteers. So they will be distributing note cards on which you can write your questions. They will bring them up to me, and if we are able, we will ask them. So when you've written your question, just wave it in the air. Also, some of these questions we may not get to now, but we will get to them in the individual panel, since we have a VA panel later today, and then tomorrow, the writer panel, I believe. So, back to the question, which was, what lessons about friendship have you learned while working on the show? Mitch, we'll start with you.
I hope it's not really cheesy and tacky to like pick one of the ones from one of my episodes that I wrote. Is that?
Oh, fine. If that's the best you can do.
It is.
I mean,
it is. But
I don't watch the show, so there's
It's
almost
more
that scene.
narcissistic than anything, but okay.
It's narcissistic. That's cool. I'm all right with that.
Okay.
The Cutie Mark Chronicles, where it's the cheesiest, most disgustingly sugary moral, where Twilight says you look out the window and we're all looking at the same moon or whatever it is. I really like that idea, that even if you're feeling alone, and I'm being totally serious right now, you guys. If you're totally alone, you just never know that your friend might be out there looking at the same thing, and there's
like
something
a
comforting.
full-on Tyval American Tale, somewhere out there thing.
Did I steal that?
Yeah, I think you did. Pretty much.
Thanks, Josh.
Somewhere out there.
I thought I came up
beneath
with
the
that.
pale moonlight. That
Someone's
song.
thinking of me and loving
Okay, fine.
me
Watch
tonight.
American Tail, I guess.
Even a cartoon. Not like you stole it from some other thing. You stole it from another
Yeah, but that was
cartoon.
mice. That's totally different.
Okay.
I'm going to let this question go because I'm a cartoon, and cartoons never learn.
No, you don't.
We can work on the show.
Oh, yeah, if you don't have the answer.
Well, if you'd like to answer, you can say what lessons about friendship you've learned from being part of the community.
Oh.
If you wish. Or we can skip you and go back to the staff. It's fine.
Yeah.
Come on, Dusty.
I think the thing that I learned the most, is that if you're kind to other people, 99.5% of the time they'll be kind back. So just be kind, because if you go out and try and put up a shield of anger, that's all you're going to get back. So drop your shields, be kind, and the people that you want to be in your life will come to you.
I have learned that this is the most generous fandom I've ever seen. And through my charity work with the food bank, I just put out a note on DA telling people that I needed donations for our local food bank, and the response was overwhelming. And I gave away a few ponies for that charity auction, but the response back was tremendous. We raised $10,000. And that's through the generosity of the fans. So that's the friendship I've learned through this fandom.
Well, I was totally going to make a joke, but now I feel like a jerk. I think what I've learned is that it's totally true if you decide you're going to be alone or that you don't have anybody, then you won't. As long as you reach out to other people, they'll reach back. And I think a lot of writers, I'm not going to look at any of the other writers because then they might disagree. You tend to get kind of isolated, and so it's a good reminder to always talk to people and actually try to interact, because more than likely if you're dealing with something kind of crappy, somebody else is probably dealing with the same thing, which actually Jillian and I talked about quite a bit. So yeah, don't isolate yourself. Thank you, My Little Pony.
I was going to say something very similar because we had just talked about that, but kind of along the same lines, like just talk to people who you don't think might be your friend, because you can find friends that are very unlikely and who are very different from you. And I think that actually makes friendships a lot more colorful and interesting, to have friends that aren't exactly the same. You see these friend groups sometimes walking around, and they all just like have like the same clothes on, they all look the same, they're just, I think that our main six are a good example of like how different you can be and still be friends. Even if you don't always understand each other, you can try to help each other understand. And I like that.
And I was actually going to note the generosity of all of you guys as well, because my son's school is being rebuilt. My son Soren, I don't know if you guys all know about Soren. Yes, you do. So Soren's school, he goes to a school for children with special needs, and it got knocked down because it needed to. It was lousy. And they're rebuilding this awesome school. And thanks to the money from the bronies, part of that school is going to be this sensory gym. And so we're going to buy a bunch of equipment for the sensory gym, thanks to all of you guys. And your generosity blows my mind. Thank you.
More than any episode, I think you guys all are just inspiring because you all support each other, and it's just a beautiful, you guys are just a beautiful reflection of friendship with each other. And that is, yeah, it's really inspiring. Say
What a
something
hippie.
nice.
I have to say something heartfelt. Honestly, it's a lesson that I'm still learning, and I kind of have to try and figure out how to get it into an episode. But it's sort of how to deal with, because I have this. It sort of hits on the generosity, and I feel indebted to the people who have helped me along my way, and to the community who have made the show a hit. And I struggle with that sort of feeling of that I owe everyone everything that I have, and I don't, and it makes me uncomfortable, and I don't quite know how to express it. So I'm still sort of learning it, and the friends who have helped me get to this position by passing my scripts along and helping me out, I don't quite know. I'm still, there's this aspect being around them that I'm uncomfortable, because I feel like I need to tell them that this meeting we're having right now about these things, it's because you put me here, and I feel weird about it, and I don't know how to tell them thank you, but this thank you doesn't seem like enough.
That's American Tail too.
People like money. People like money. Money is a good way to express thanks.
Yeah.
Just
Basically, I'm saying, see me, and I will write you a check, and then this transaction will be done. But anyway, thank you to the fandom for making the show a hit. Thank you for, if this is being on the web or something. Hey, friends, thank you for helping me. So that's what I'm saying.
I think a big lesson for me is probably, and I'm still learning this too, and I struggled with this a lot growing up, but being exactly who you are and, making no apologies for that, because you're more likely to find acceptance and people who love you for that, if you just put it all out there and be who you are, and that's something I still struggle with day to day, but that's probably the biggest lesson for me.
How many people in the audience have heard of a show called Littlest Pet Shop? Yes, fans in there? We have a question for Tabitha regarding Pepper. How would you describe your experiencing? I'm going to try that again and use language this time. How would you describe your experience of playing this character?
Pepper. Well, she's pretty brash and pretty kind of blunt. I would say my experience has been pungent. It's been fulsome and fecund. It's been fertile and potent. Thank you.
I hope you'll all forgive me. This is a question for me, and the question is, will you answer this question? No. Oh, this is a good one. I like this one. For anyone who wishes to answer, are there any questions that you've ever wanted to ask the fans or the fandom as a whole? No pressure. It's all friendly. Shame on you.
I'm sorry. I've had questions many times and I can't think of one.
It feels like a Natasha question.
That feels like a Natasha question.
Natasha.
I had a whole panel in Austin where all I did was ask questions to the community for an hour and a half, so I feel like my questions are answered.
No. You can't go back. I just wanted to know what this giant crab thing was. What is that about? There's like a thing where Rarity like has a giant crab or something. I don't get it. Does anyone know how to answer
There's
this?
an answer.
It's
so
the
it was
internet.
from-
It doesn't make sense.
It was from something completely unrelated to Pony. Okay. All right. Now I know
This-
about the crab.
Anyone else have questions for the fandom? Anything you've ever wanted
They're not
answered?
appropriate for this panel.
Oh my, all right. That'll be tonight's panel then, when there aren't little ears in attendance.
Mitch, you can ask me those things at any time.
This is a question from Master Weaver. Who is your favorite non-pony My Little Pony Friendship is Magic character? So you have a very limited selection to choose from. Who is your favorite non-pony character? So we could be talking about
Tom.
Gilda or Tom. Where is all the Tom Dan the Rock cosplay?
Gummy. I love Gummy.
I think the correct answer is Breezy's.
Gilda rules, you dweebs.
Zecora.
Philomena.
She's not a pony.
My real answer is Stephen Magnet. I love him so much. I put him in 2 other episodes and without success. I love him.
Anyone else? No.
Someone has said, sorry, I had to go to the restroom. Someone said Discord, right? No?
No.
Are you kidding? No one said Discord? Discord.
Oh. My favorite hasn't been shown yet.
What about Stinkerbell?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys have got to stop calling me that. That's for my mom.
She's the leader of the Breezies at Revolution, I think.
I'll have to say Discord too. That was the episode I was in. So.
How are the nicknames coming?
So, sorry. Oh, the nicknames. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we're back to that.
Oh, she
okay.
wrote it down.
I wrote down some nicknames. I couldn't think of nicknames for these fine people up here. I don't think I know them well enough to come up with nicknames yet at this point. But I did write down all of the nicknames throughout my life for me. And they're pretty boring, but I'll say them anyway. So there's B-Mac, B-Rit, Britters, Bam Bam. I don't know if I should say that. Probably leave that.
Oh, totally.
Okay, yeah. So I was really bossy when I was little. Very, very bossy little girl. And so they nicknamed me, actually my aunt nicknamed me Brittler. Sorry, ouch.
Wait, I don't get it. Someone explain it to me.
We have a question here for everyone, anyone who wants to chime in. But I'll start with the postscript, which is P.S. Tabitha is an international treasure, and they've written a little heart and a rarity. So I'll give you this card in a moment. But the question for everyone is, what were your favorite cartoons when you were kids? Now, clearly, Mitch liked An American Tail. But aside from that,
I watched more sitcoms than cartoons, to be completely honest. So I love things like The Golden Girls and WKRP in Cincinnati and Cheers and Frasier and things like that.
I didn't watch a lot of cartoons either, but I did get fixated one summer on a show called Marine Boy, which was a Japanimation thing. That was one of the first ones I saw. I had a crush on Marine Boy. And, but basically, all my life, I've really just liked the kicky, kung fu-y, spaceship-y typey things.
Well, I did love cartoons, and I grew up with Looney Tunes. And, and then when I had my kids, then it was Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls and What Are Cartoons and all those. So I love cartoons.
I grew up with Kimba the White Lion, Speed Racer, Battle of the Planets, and Voltron.
Way to take all my answers.
Yeah, I watched a lot of Voltron. I had every conceivable action figure they made, which would constantly be sucked up in the vacuum cleaner. And I also really loved Muppet Babies. And then when I was a little bit older, and still do love Daria. I guess that counts as a cartoon, right?
I watched a lot of Animaniacs and and Ren and Stimpy. I was weirdly really into. And what else? Yeah, Rugrats, Doug, all those on Nickelodeon, and Ninja Turtles.
I also didn't watch a lot of cartoons. I watched The Brady Bunch and I Love Lucy. And then I was recently watching a rerun of Little House on the Prairie, which I watched avidly. And I realized that a lot of my countryism Applejack stuff comes from Little House on the Prairie, because Mary got her dander up, and I went, oh my gosh, that's where that came from. Because I'm from Los Angeles, and I love Applejack talk, and I went, where did this come from? And I thought, and some of it's from I Love Lucy, and I know that. But I don't know where, Nuts and Chews came from. It's from a box of See's chocolate. I know that. But, and Good Gravy, I don't know where that came from. But Mary she was fired up. And I said, oh, there it is. It's All My Little House. And that was interesting to me. That's it. Yeah.
I also didn't really watch cartoons, but I did have an Underdog sleeping bag that I really loved. But I watched Mr. Rogers, and yeah, I love him. I used to go to sleep with a Mr. Rogers record. I mean, listening to a Mr. Rogers record every night. It calmed me down, you guys. And Electric Company, and when I was a little older, then I would just watch I Love Lucy also, and Little House, and all those shows.
Oh, I actually forgot one thing that's very funny. The original My Little Pony movie was my favorite movie when I was a kid. And whenever I was getting babysat by my grandmother or someone, that's what I would do, is just watch it on a loop. And that's the only way they could get me to stop crying. So I think that's very funny, and full circle.
I watched both cartoons and sitcoms. But yeah, like Battle of the Planets and Speed Racer, and that's what I loved about Japanimation that we would see when we were kids is that I don't think the people airing it had any idea like what the stories were, what order the episodes would be in. So they would just be all out of order, and you had no idea what episode was from, and you just kind of make up stuff in your head about that would connect them. That was kind of my favorite thing.
Okay, I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
Seven Zark 7, yes or no?
I don't know.
You watched Battle of the Planets.
Yeah, but okay. I'm not really strong with names and things.
Yeah, he was the robot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, did you like that part or not?
Not as much, no.
No. You know why he was in there?
What was that?
You know why he was in there?
No.
Because they ripped out so much of the violence from the cartoon, they had to reanimate something to put in there.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I kind of love that process. There was some animation from Japan that they did recently, and they was so low budget that they did an English version of it, but all they did was they took out all of the dialogue from the Japan thing, and then just rewrote the episodes, just looking at what was happening in the scenes. They had no scripts or anything of the original because they didn't understand what they were saying. So they just rewrote stories like, oh, they're in the garage, so they're obviously talking about cake and stuff that you do with cake, and it's just awesome, that kind of stuff. I also want to point out that Mitch tried to pass off that he watched Frasier as a kid, which I don't think is probably entirely true.
Hit it hard.
Oh, I see.
When I was a kid, and still now, I watch a lot of cartoon movies, Disney and non-Disney. But favorite Disney movies: Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King. Those are my favorites. I still watch them. Honest to God, I still watch them all the time. And non-Disney, Swan Princess.
I have a sneaking suspicion that everyone in the audience, or at least most people in the audience, can relate to these still watching Disney and non-Disney animated films. So don't feel bad about it.
I don't feel
bad. Oh my. I have 2 questions for GM Berrow. Which one do I start with? Okay, we'll go with this one. GM, I hear that you wrote an episode this season. What took you so long?
I don't know. I just had to keep badgering them. No. Yeah, I did. It was awesome. I don't know what else to say about it other than I wanted to do it for a long time.
You can say nothing about it.
And I'm going to say nothing about it. It's actually not from my episode. It's from Natasha's.
Ah.
But that's all I can say about it.
We're moving into spoiler
Even I have
territory
no
here.
idea what she's talking about.
I'll tell you later.
Okay, thank you.
Also for GM, when will we see Fluttershy's book? But it's January of next year?
January.
Okay.
She was on a delay because of the Daring Do collection, because of the release schedule. It's like every 3 months, so.
Buy the Daring Do collection.
Yeah.
Buy her book. This is a kind of spoilery, so you probably can't answer this, but perhaps you can answer it by not answering it. What will you do after that?
Oh, you're asking what book is coming next? I already did announce that.
Did you?
Yeah. Princess Celestia, and then Princess Luna. But I don't know when those will be released yet, so.
But we can all look forward to them. How are we doing on time? We have 8 minutes left. Ooh, what question will make the cut and what question will not?
Partially, yeah.
Oh, we have one coming. Could it be this one? No, it's not really a question. It actually admits to not being a question. Not really a question, just wanted to say, you are all awesome.
It's kind of better as a question, though. And we all have to defend it, each one of us. You're all awesome?
Go, Mitch.
Yes or no?
Prove it. You can go if you need to. Mitch cut out earlier. Anyway, meanwhile, what is your favorite song from the show? This is a question for everyone. Favorite song from the show?
Babseed, Babseed.
At the gala.
Apples to the core.
Big round of applause for Tabitha St, Germain, everyone.
Second.
Is that just because I'm going to go pee?
I wasn't sure if you were coming back or not.
The smile song.
I like the At the Gala song because they all get the separate parts and it's really cool.
This day was going to be perfect. The kind of day that Britt sings.
Is it too narcissistic for me to say my song? It was, okay, good. So, apples to the core.
My favorite song is also your song. I think because I have such a positive thing from Comic-Con when they aired it and just everybody spontaneously started singing and clapping. It was pretty awesome.
You can just admit you like it. You don't have to give a caveat to that.
Justify it. Every time I get anytime I get any correspondence, Natasha and I occasionally talk, like often. And every single time, like I get a text or an email, it just starts circulating through my head, and I have your song stuck in my head forever.
Did everyone offer their answer? This is actually. Sorry.
I can't say anything else but this day aria, of course. But.
I don't think
I thought
you can
about
afford
responding
her.
in song, but then at the last moment I decided against it. I'm sorry. The kind of day of which I dreamed since I was small. That's all I got.
Nice. You get that part for free, and you have to pay the appropriate fees. She's a performer. Buy her song. Buy these books. This is a question for, well, everyone, about collaboration, which we touched on a moment ago. Does meeting and seeing each other at these cons help you to work together? To the extent that you do work together. So writers, is it helpful to meet the voice actors? Does it help you create their characters better? That sort of thing. Mitch.
It does.
Could you elaborate?
I said this to Michelle Krieber at one of the conventions with her, but after I met her, I really wanted to write difficult lines for her that would be hard to say, because I could just picture it happening, and it was so fun. But it definitely helps because it just writing a show in general, when you come onto a show when it's first starting and you can't hear anything, and you can only look at some other one person's dialogue, it's really difficult to think what they're going to say. But then you hear them, and then you meet them, and I can hear Andrea right now. I can't stop hearing Andrea. It's a help me. No, it helps. It really helps a lot because you can meet them and you can see their intonations and their energy, and they get in your head.
I feel like it would help me come up with new characters for that voice actor, but it doesn't really help me with the characters that are established because those characters are themselves. They sort of exist as fully realized ponies in my brain, and it's easier actually to write to them if I have no interaction with the person performing them, because then it's like, oh, you're a person, and now we're gonna have an awkward person exchange, and like, oh, do you like me? I don't know, and like, that whole thing. It's easier if it's just like, oh, I'm just writing Pinkie Pie. Like that's easy. But if I actually have a successful interaction with a person, which is rare, and that person is a VA, then I think, oh man, this gives me ideas for other characters to write for you. But yeah, to write for the specific character now, I'm better off never meeting them.
Well, I think not just like with the VAs, but meeting the other writers is really great and helps when you can have a conversation about really specific things. And, because we're not like calling each other up and being like, hey, do you think, Pinkie would do that? No, we're not doing that. So I think that's good. And also for me, I first met Megan and all these guys at a con, which is how I got to know her and then eventually got to write an episode. So I would say yes.
I think we have time for one more question, if everyone is done with the last one. This is for Sherry, from Paige, age 10. How hard is it to make plushies? And that actually segues nicely into the panel that will be in here in half an hour, where you will probably answer that in some detail.
Yeah, I will answer that in detail during my panel. At first, it was quite difficult because I'd never made one. And I'd never even made anything resembling this. I had made Native American regalia. So I didn't have a clue when my son asked me to make him one. And at first I refused. So when he finally talked me into it, the first couple I made were so bad he refused them, and he still tried to commission somebody else. But it's patience. You just have to take your time and just keep working at it. And like I said, I'll go into that further in my panel. But at first it was rather hard for me.
The subtext there was come to her panel in half an hour. You can win. It's a Twilight Sparkle plushie, I believe?
I'm actually also giving away a Philly Dash.
Ah.
So, I brought her with me, and just today I decided that I'm also going to give her away. So I'm going to give away 2 today.
Come to her panel and buy their books. And can we get a big round of applause for all of our guests? Thank you so much. Now go have fun.